Hey, hi everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, New York. Good morning, US. Hope everything is going well for you all over the world. Of course, I'm Guillaume Carlier, the head of content and innovation for Propelled by MIPIM. I'm sure you really know a lot already about the Daily Talks. We started more than a month ago, but for the new joiners, a quick reminder: the Daily Talks are every day. It's 4 p.m. Paris time, so today 10 a.m. New York times. It's one or several speakers giving a presentation for a topic during 20 minutes, and then there is a Q&A session. When you take the control, you can ask any question using your Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. Sorry. Today, I'm really happy to receive Nikki Greenberg. So she's the founder of Real Estate of the Future and Women in PropTech. Hi, Nikki, can you hear me well?
Oh, let me share my video. Hi, how are you?
Great,
Thanks.
I'm really good. I hope you too. So today the session is called Towards 2030, Space Odyssey. So I guess I hope you're going to talk about future digitalization. I'm not sure about everything you're going to talk. So please, the mic is yours for 20 minutes, and I'll see you in 20 minutes for the Q&A session.
Great, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm going to start sharing my screen, but I'll come back at the end.
Perfect.
You can see my screen? Perfect.
Yep.
We'll get a better view. Well, firstly, I'd like to thank, the team at MIPIM for inviting me to give a presentation. And, you might be wondering why I'm talking about 2030 and 2020, because there's so much happening in 2020. But really, we've got to realize that the actions that we make today are going to have a long-lasting legacy. And this is essentially the theme of my talk today. So this is me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an architect that went to business school, Australia's home. And simply put, I work with my clients to help them to innovate. And what we need to think about is that the way that we fundamentally live, work, and play has changed so immensely during our lifetime. And it's not always easy to navigate these changes. And with all of the changes that we're seeing environmentally that are happening with COVID-19 and other things, it's even more difficult to try and predict what we need to do today to leave our lasting legacy for our real estate and our PropTech inventions into the future. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the new reality that we find ourselves in today. And the focus for me is going to be in New York, where I reside. And I'm going to also run through some of the market changes to help identify opportunities for innovators. So if there are innovators on this call, if there are investors, if there are real estate professionals, this one's for you. So I love this quote: change is call for innovation, and innovation leads to progress. So really what's happening now is that we're in uncharted territory and there is no playbook. We're making it up as we go along. Now, innovation comes from change, and the fundamental underlying conditions in the way that we are at the moment have just shifted from underneath us. Really, what you can't do is keep using an old solution to new problems. So I know that I'm preaching to the converted here, but we need to keep this front of mind. So now you might be wondering why I have a photo of some elevators, and no, it's not a reference to an elevator pitch, but it is a reference to how slow our industry has been to adapt. Elevators, when they were introduced as a technology, it fundamentally changed the way that we design cities. It meant that we could now build up instead of out. So it meant that cities could become more dense and people commute it into towns. And despite the types of technologies that we have today, our reliance on our mobile phones, that we Amazon everything, that we spend so much time on Netflix, we haven't really changed the way that we use and design buildings. But now that we have a new reality because of COVID-19 and being under quarantine, this is really an opportunity to use it as a catalyst for change as we work towards 2030 and our new reality. And the thing is that you don't want to get left behind. You really want to be thinking about how you're innovating into the future. And really the theme is that we need to rethink everything. Things have shifted so much. So let's just take a look at this past weekend, for example. On Saturday, we saw the SpaceX NASA aircraft launch, which was the first time the US has launched an aircraft in the past 10 years. Of course, a lot of us are under lockdown because of COVID-19, which means that we're working from home, and there's been a fundamental shift. And of course, there's protests around the world and in the US in particular around Black Lives Matter because of the unnecessary and unfortunate death of George Floyd. So this is my neighborhood on Saturday. I live in the West Village, which is downtown and quite a lovely area. And you'll see there's shops that are boarded up and, you know, there's a lot of white people. It's not a one community situation. This is a photo of my neighborhood that I took yesterday, you know, looking down an avenue towards the World Trade Center. Now, New York has changed. New York is not going to go back to the way that it was in the near future, if at all. So really, we need to remember that our cities have changed so much. We need new solutions for it. And really the danger is that short-term thinking that doesn't think about the long-term is dangerous, because our short-term remedies are going to become a long-term legacy, and we need to fundamentally rethink everything. So now look, some things are going to go back to a similar way, but what we do know is they're not going to go all the way back to the way that things were. This is what we're going to see. All right, I'm going to run through a few trends with you around the US market that we've seen. So consumer spending, as you can see, as March kind of ticked along, went down quite significantly, down to about 25–30%. General commerce, there was a spike just before the lockdowns happened. Lockdown in New York, I believe, was on the 23rd of March. Other places followed a little bit later, some before. And then, it's been slow to recover, but your daily needs are your daily needs. Retail was chugging along. Again, there was a spike in office supplies, pet supplies just before lockdown. Apparel's gone right down and it's not really recovering. It's down by 50% at the moment. Restaurants, they were chugging along. I find it quite entertaining that there was actually a trough for fine dining around Valentine's Day. I would have liked to have seen a peak there. But what we can see is that fast food has recovered a lot faster than fine dining. So fine dining is going to have a pretty hard time, especially with work lunches cancelled. Food delivery, I love this slide. Yalda, look at this. Grocery delivery has completely and utterly bucked the trend. Everything else is down, but grocery delivery is up. Takeout delivery is up also. So think about this, people aren't going to be going to stores as much, but they are going to have their groceries delivered. How can we respond as the real estate and technology industry? Okay, talking about what's hot. Consumer spending trends, as we know, they're down. FinTech is, whoopsie, there you go. Back, I just have to be patient with this animation. Come back. All right. When people are worried about their jobs, FinTech is important. Savings, mortgage security. People worried about losing their homes because they either haven't paid mortgages or they're going to have problems paying mortgages when there's a higher incidence of unemployment. Rent security. A lot of tenants and a lot of individuals haven't been paying their rent. Landlords are suffering as a result. There's going to be opportunities for acquisitions. Technology, as we know, can provide lots of opportunities to identify these opportunities. And of course, the iBuyers need to be recalibrated entirely because this is new ground. In terms of general commerce, food security, what happens if there's a second wave of COVID? And we can say goodbye to shopping malls and big box retail. They were suffering for a while. A lot of department stores had already gone under. We're seeing more of that. We also want to be thinking about health security and comfort. Are people going to feel comfortable going into a grocery store? And of course, the increase in online. Every single type of commerce is now having to have an online component, whereas before it was a nice to have, not a mandatory. So this is going to keep increasing. Dining, as I said, fast food is recovering a lot faster than fine dining. And when people are concerned about their income, cheap and quick tends to take precedence over the special meals. Contactless delivery and pickup is something that's really emerged in the past few months. And this is something that people are getting used to and we can expect will probably stay because of the convenience and the health factors. Local shop initiatives, we do want to support local businesses. How can you do that? What kind of PropTech can support this, for the smaller mom and pop operations that keep neighborhoods alive? food sourcing, food security, where is it coming from? Can you have local sources? Delivery only in ghost kitchens, and what happens with the fine dining experience? Again, in the food delivery, contactless delivery and pickup, and how can we optimize this through a PropTech solution? Thinking about packaging disposal, there's a huge amount of waste that's generated from all of these deliveries. Our buildings aren't designed to accommodate them. Micro warehouses for faster distribution, the integration of last mile solution, do we need kitchens? Are kitchens going to be the same? And of course, we can see here, meal kits look like they were a fad, reducing in popularity. Puppy tech and pet tech on the rise. A lot of people adopted and bought pets just before the lockdown. How do you have a PropTech solution that responds to the furry friends too? Apparel trends and returns, people are shopping online. How can you design for this? Athleisure and home workouts. Again, you're using your home space now as a workout space. Work from home technology and furniture setup. At least for a lot of companies until the end of the year, people will be working from home. How can we actually facilitate this in a more meaningful way? And video marketing, video is here to stay. It's the best way that we can reach people. And we really want to be optimizing this in the best way possible. And I will be touching upon this a little bit more as we go ahead. So what we're looking at is, digital realty. This is the way that our industry has been going for quite some time. And this is the way that will continue to go well into the future. And it's something that we need to embrace. And there are so many opportunities when we do. And it's not just about embracing it today, but it's about setting the strategies in place to get us to this 2030 mark. So why is it important? So the average American, on average, was spending 8.5 hours each day in front of a screen. And this is before COVID. Now, you also have to remember that not everybody works in front of a computer. So it's not just a matter of it being, oh, this is the work day. And of course, this number increases for when you get to millennials. Now, the important thing is that when we get to Gen Z, what they're actually doing is that they're spending on average 5 hours a day on their phones, with 26% of them spending more than 10 hours a day on their phones. And this is before COVID. So we expect that this will increase as time goes on. And we see the result of people being, socially isolated, socially distanced for, during this period, and the structural change that it brings to the way that we operate. And why this is important, and why I'm talking about Gen Z and millennials in particular, is that by 75%, they're going to make up 75% of the workforce. So you're going to have a workforce that is digitally savvy and is connected very much to their devices. So, use the opportunity now of the disruption that we're seeing and the move to digitization to really bring your digital strategy to the forefront. One area that has been, significantly disrupted is brokerages. And what they're saying is that they're reporting an increase in video tour requests by more than 500%. And in addition to this, videos have been shown to be shared 12 times more than links. And this was, before COVID, they've been shown to be hugely effective. And before COVID, 73% of homeowners said that they're more likely to list with an agent that offers to create a video tour for them. And this is something that's from the COVID result we're expecting to see will increase more and more and more as this becomes the new reality. And of course, listings with videos see a 403% increase in inquiries. So, and again, this is before COVID. We don't have the numbers on what's happened with, COVID and and people working from home. So, video, I believe, is really the way that our industry is going to keep going and keep connecting. So this is a technology that, I adore, and I tend to talk about it quite often. In full transparency, I do sit on their advisory board. And what it does is that it takes video to the next level. And it takes a typical video and it makes it interactive so that it becomes a miniature website. And if you pull up your phone, you can actually scan the QR code, and then you'll be able to test it out on your phone and to interact. And one of the reasons I like to show you this as an example is that it's really talking about the next generation of technology that's coming out. Step one, get a video. Step two, what's next? At Women in PropTech, we've also made some changes. We have very vibrant networking events. So our challenge has been, how can we now adapt our in-person model to a digital reality? And we've brought in initiatives such as a private members lounge, interactive webinars, providing exclusive market insights by our global ambassadors who are all in different markets around the world, social promotions, e-networking, and so on and so forth. So do visit the website, you can find out more about what we've been doing there. Now, and finally, I like to end on this slide because I think it's quite humorous, saying obviously we need to adjust to in-office meetings. So when we do go back to work, things are going to be quite different to the way that they were, and it will be an adjustment, not just because we're Zoom everything with the Zoom boom, but also the way that we fundamentally manage teams and operate meetings is going to be quite different. So you can always visit my website to find out more. And I hope that you've enjoyed this webinar and found it quite interesting and helpful to just inspire you about some of the changes that are possible, when you bring design thinking to it. I know that today there's so much change happening all at once. I mean, we saw the spacecraft and, COVID lockdowns, and now New York has an 8 p.m. curfew every day. Like, this is a change condition, and it can be quite nerve-wracking trying to think about, what are you going to do to take yourself into the future? So if you do need help with that, reach out. That's what I do. I help with design thinking and bringing in, new innovations and technologies and ways of working for our new reality. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then we'll go back to video view. So I'll show my face again.
Thank you very much, Nikki.
Is that it?
Great. A lot of examples, a lot of different points, and special conclusion. I like we're using, we use Teams, so we use a lot of in the company, and definitely will be some adjustments before going back to work. But maybe we can start with that. What's your view exactly about? I mean, it will change a lot, as you said, but what will be the way we go back to work? What will happen when we go back to work?
Yeah, I think this is a big question that everybody's asking. And, I will preface it by saying that we don't actually know. We're looking a lot to China to get a sense of what they're doing and modeling what we're doing on them. But, the way that Chinese business and society operates is quite different to the way that we work and operate in the US for, obviously a number of reasons. But I think there are going to be some trends that are here to stay. We've seen a lot of big tech companies announcing that they will allow their workforce to work remotely indefinitely. So, obviously there's cost savings for a company not having to have to rent the space for that amount of time. Zoom or an alternative may come in, because, I think we've seen that although, we love Zoom, we've seen the limitations that it has for being able to collaborate. And there's going to be a question really around, when do we come into the office and for what purposes, and how can we have the physical environment supported by the digital environment? So we want to really have the symbiosis between the physical and the digital. We will be seeing more people working from home or working from workspaces, probably flexible workspaces, closer to home or within their community. I think we will probably, I'd like to say that we should start seeing some, very exotic locations having co-working spaces also. Digital nomads have been doing this for a while. So, I think there's going to be a fundamental shift there. We know there's going to be a lot of measures that are coming in from the high tech to the low tech to the no tech around safety and security in particular. But I think that is essentially entry level just to get us back. But what people should be thinking about is, what is that? What is that next stage? Like the Bling by example, how do you take, okay, yep, we're fine, but now, how do we 10x this? How do we really make this so much better than anything we've ever done?
Great, thank you very much. We have a special question from Regis, who asks what is the share of digital home of digital working in service companies before and after Corona, but I'm not sure we get these figures.
Yeah, look, I don't think we have those figures yet, but what we do know is, during Corona, almost every company is, I'd have to look it up though. There are figures around how many people were working from home before Corona. And there's also information around their happiness and around their productivity. And obviously we're going to see new numbers coming out now. So, at the moment, obviously almost every, professional is working from home unless you're unless you have more of a manual job or, so on and so forth. If you can work from a computer, you're working from home. So, we will see a significant increase of people working from home more often. I think it's, been proven that we can. It's, for the individual and for the company, but I also think we'll be seeing a lot of people being fatigued from working from home, and that they'll be looking for a third space to work from.
I can feel it already. I would have, is your question about the real estate, the New York, let's keep the example of New York. Maybe you can give us some more details about the New York commercial and residential real estate. When people leave the city, I mean, if we take into consideration that people won't go back to work as much as we plan, well, I mean, what will be the next New York phase, for example? I mean, what would be the state of residential and commercial real estate from your point of view?
Yeah, and look, this is a big question mark for all of us here, because we're seeing a few things happening at the moment. As I said, there are tech companies that are saying that their workers don't need to come in till the end of, either until the end of the year, or, they can work from home indefinitely. We do have a very large and thriving tech scene. We're seeing a lot of people moving out of the city, whether it is to stay with their families or in their holiday homes. In my building at the moment, there's maybe, I'd say about 20% of the people are still in my building at the moment. And, whether everyone's going to come back is a question. So we do have a big question mark on our hands about, who's still going to be in the city in 3 to 6 months time, because, businesses are leaving and individuals are leaving, and, these uncertain times just make it even more uncertain. So, and I don't want to sound pessimistic about this, but what I do want to say is that we have to realize that wherever there's a problem, and here we've got a very, very obvious problem, there's a huge opportunity for somebody to come in and to fix it. And this is really the opportunity for the PropTech innovators and inventors to say, okay, we know what the problem is. It's a new problem. There's never been a solution, but here's a solution that we have to solve for this new reality. Sure,
and I think PropTech is ready for that. You have a question from Menno Lammers. Yeah, sorry, Menno. Would like to know your personal insights of working together from home in New York City.
Yeah, so kind of working with the home, third space, office, public space, for all of these places working together. We've had this for a while, and I call it the any place workplace. And really what it is thanks to cloud computing, we've been able to do this for some time. All you need is your laptop, a good set of headphones, I think everyone's kind of using these little guys at the moment, and Wi-Fi, and you can work from anywhere. So are you going to work from home? You're going to work from the office? Are you going to work from a park or a Starbucks or or somewhere else? We can do that at the moment, and we've been able to do that for a while. So I think what it's going to come down to really is, from, a personal preference, where you're the most productive and realistically, but I also think from a real estate perspective, in recognizing that not everybody is going to be working from an office anymore. I think there's an incredible opportunity to capitalize on this. If you think about the conditions that matter to people, which at the moment is, front and center, is really around safety. People don't want to be in large shared spaces at the moment, at least in the short term. So what are the opportunities that come out around that for these third spaces?
Thank you very much, Nikki. I think I would like to conclude with the comments, the nice comment from Regis. If labor forces is obliged to work at home, does it lead that companies would cover some part of the home rental cost? I don't know if it's the next part of the process. But yeah, it's a nice one. Maybe yeah, we'll help increasing the salaries. But yeah, no, thank you very much for your point of view on this questions and your presentation about this special place for future of work. And yeah, hope to see you soon in Paris or New York. Thank you very much, Nikki.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone for joining in.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Take care. Thank you too. Bye-bye.